Hi there, welcome to this month's edition of A Few Minutes with Beep. That's right, I'm not Darwin. My name is Gregory. Our mutual friend Darwin is in the shop. His hovercraft is getting a new set of tricked-out Klystron modulators installed, and Darwin asked me to fill in for him this month. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about a slightly more exotic source of control for your Beep patches: video. We're going to start with a pretty simple straight-ahead initial patch full of things that you may already recognize. One of my personal favorites, the old cloud oscillator, providing us with pitched material, the spectral filter with its beautiful morphing abilities doing the filtering for us, and of course, a stereo output. Pretty simple, pretty straight ahead. Before I get going, I want to take a minute and talk to you a little bit about Vizy. One of the things about Vizy, which is our collection of modules which do video, is that they only have two kinds of outputs: video or data. The data outputs are all in the same range, 0 to 1.0 floating point. That means you can connect any video outlet to any video inlet and any data outlet to any data inlet. That works great. But it also means that we'll have to do a little bit of work in order to get that data to work with Beep modules. And here's how we do it. Let's start by unlocking our patch, and we'll add a Vizy controller, a fader. Click on the V to show the Vizy browser, navigate to the Controllers tab, and then click and drag a fader into your patch. That fader simply outputs data in the range of 0 to 1. If it gets input data from someplace else, it displays it. It's really pretty simple. Now, in order to use that 0 to 1.0 data, you need to transform that data into control voltages at audio rate in the ranges that your Beep modules work with. And there's a Vizy module that does just that. It's called the Vizy converter. Let's add a Vizy converter to our patch. We'll click on the Vizy icon to show the browser, navigate it again to the controllers, and scroll down and click and drag a Vizy converter into our patch. The Vizy converter is really pretty simple and straight ahead. It's got one data inlet, which will connect to the data output of our fader, and then a set of outputs that output control voltages in the ranges that Beep modules expect to have. In this particular case, I'm going to use the -5 to 5 volt output. So we'll click and drag, and I'll connect that to the spectral filter. Lock the patch. And then as I click and drag on the fader, you'll notice something sort of interesting is happening. You'll notice that our fader is morphing between one filtering set and another. In fact, this might prove really useful to you anytime you need to use a single controller to control more than one input on a Beep module. So you might want to keep that in mind. But I've got something else in mind as well. I think we'd like to work with a little bit of video itself. And to that end, we'll add a video player to this patch. Let's unlock the patch, click on the Vizy icon again to show the browser, navigate to the Input tab, and then click and drag a player onto the screen. That's the Vizy module that plays videos. We'll also click and drag a pixelator from the Effects tab of the Vizy browser, and a viewer from the Output tab of the Vizy browser. We'll use those as we go along. First, we'll start by connecting the video outlet of the player module to the data inlet of the fader. Yeah, that's right. We're going to connect video to a data input. Trust me on this one. I'll tell you what happens in a minute. Then what we want to do is lock our patch, and then click on the video icon in the patcher window and choose a video to load. I'll load the blading video. When that video starts playing, you'll notice something's going on. You'll notice that the fader is moving again. How does that happen? Well, here's the deal. Anytime you connect a video outlet to a data input in a Vizy module, the pixels in the image, all of them, are summed together and then averaged. And that average value is output as data. So that's what you're seeing happen there. The data is actually being directly sent and controlled by the video player itself. And in turn, that's modifying the spectral filter. There's some other things we can do if we want more than one kind of control to work with our patch. And that's why I added the pixelator module and the viewer. So we'll start by unlocking the patch again, and let's connect the video outlet of the player to the video input of the pixelator module. And then so we can see what's going on, we'll use the viewer module, and we'll connect the video output of the pixelator to the input of the viewer. That'll show us the result of that effect. Let's lock that patch for a second and play around with the knobs. And you'll notice what happens when you do that is that the image will be pixelated and modified. That'll mean that whenever we try to average those values, we'll get interesting output data. And we'll also be able to modify the pre-average data itself by using the effect. Let's unlock that patch again, and we'll click on the VisiConverter module we've already got to select it and copy it, and then paste a new VisiConverter module into our patch. Let's connect the video output of the pixelator module into the new VisiConverter object. And then once again, we'll take that -5 to 5 volt, and this time we'll connect it up to the CV inlet of the cloud module, so it provides pitch information. Let's lock the patch, turn it up a little bit, and play with the knobs on the pixelator. You'll notice that as we change the pixelization, we get slightly different values. So that's a really interesting and easy way to use video output as control on your beep patch. I hope this has given you a couple of ideas about things to do. And don't worry, Darwin will be back with a few more minutes of beep next month. In the meantime, happy patching.